Hello everyone and welcome back. This is another episode with the Wargame European Escalation. I turned down all sound effects and everything so you can hear me clearly. I know last time I didn't check it, and then when I actually loaded it up and I saw some of the comments, you couldn't hear it. Yeah, that's my fault. So I actually turned everything down so you should be able to hear it. And I'm going to give you a little bit of view of what's going on in the game. This is a 2v2. I know not a 2v2, a 1v1. I know I did say there was other videos, and for whatever reason, I know this game's in beta, but I can't get my cards to render in DX11 for some reason. I don't know why. I have two 6970s. It's just not working currently. Maybe the driver software is too recent. I don't know, but it's just not working. So every time I try to load up those old videos that were in DX11, which my settings were in prior to about a day ago, it crashes every time. So I have these awesome videos and these awesome replays, and I can't even show you. So this one, it's not the most awesome one, but it highlights some of the mistakes I made and some of the mistakes that my friend Seth, who's a Estalibar, made. I'm Ruvallith. I play Pack primarily. I'm going to show you some of the things that I made mistakes on, but that easily could have been rectified, and some of the things that you can learn from playing certain players. Especially when you get higher up in the levels, you're going to notice that you play certain players more, and you're going to notice that certain players stand out and how much better they play or how much they can control the map. And then those are the players you really want to watch. Seth's a very good player. He uses a different strategy. Normally I like to use value units where, say the Tanguskas and all them. I mean, these artillery pieces are expensive. Sometimes I mix and match. I'll go low grade and I'll vet them, or I'll go medium grade. Rarely will I ever go for, like, say an Abrams on the NATO side that's very expensive and vet it all the way. That's just not my style. I normally like to keep it with lower end units like the 62MV, which is still an extremely good tank. I'll have one set of units that are vetted, one set that's not. Now in this battle I chose to have a BV because I figured that would help. I knew he had the Abrams, maybe I could take a little bit more. It turned out the battle was totally different than what I actually expected. Not according to his units that he chose, because he still chose Abrams, Delta Force. He has an excellent artillery piece, pretty good AA. He had less volume, but he had very high-end units, and if you microed them well, as you can see from what he's going to do here, you can be very successful. So now in building units, I know some people were asking, oh, how do I build a deck? That's really up to your playstyle. As I said, we only had a 1500 limit, so that's pretty typical. We don't want to go like with Noob Game where you have 6,000 plus points. No, that's ridiculous. I like to play it as close to what you would expect in most games with pro players or players that know what they're doing. And it also makes it a little more difficult, because if I could just spam high-end units and he could spam high-end units, it still comes down to micromanagement and it still comes down to your strategy, but at the same time, you could just spam artillery, let's be real, and really do a number on each other. So it's really not that fun. As a lot of people I noticed were talking about in the forums, the spamming artillery is definitely not fun. So essentially, when I started this map, I took my two command units. There's one that you always start with and another one I built. I took it right out of Anna because, you know what, I want Boris. Boris is the better reinforcement point, and I want center. Last match I played with him, I lost because I technically didn't take any points. I landed Anna. In the beginning it was like 1,100 to like 200. It was a landslide victory for me, but I started running short on points, and I couldn't make any more of those decent medium grade vetted units anymore. So essentially he just came in, swooped, and slaughtered me, and I didn't protect my flank enough. So it ended up turning out to like a 1,500 to like 1,300. It was very close, but I lost it simply because I didn't have enough points and I didn't protect my left flank. So in this one, I sent over very good main battle tanks. Those are very good tanks right there. The T62MVs. They're cheap and they're very good. Now this is Specnaz in here. He doesn't know that. I didn't use them last round because most players I play nowadays, they don't seem to use Delta Force too much. So I don't really have that issue with infantry. So I'll spam some medium grade Motostrectly. I think that's how you say it. The Czech ones. And and that they normally do a pretty good job because they have pretty good anti-tank, ATGM. They're pretty good, and they're cheap, very cheap, and I like their vehicles that I can bring with it. But in his case, with him, he uses specialized units that are better, and they would just mow right through those guys. So I needed to step it up and get some SpecNaz. And SpecNaz, if you get the helicopter kind, they have faster mobilization. Obviously, you can drop them in random places faster, but they're expensive. For this unit right here, with the three APCs, it's actually only 40 points. It's ridiculously cheap. So it really made a big difference. He has to spend a lot more because he has to get helicopters with him. And the helicopters are very useful if he has upgraded ones with nice guns on it. So he can use them in multiple roles. But it's still very expensive for an infantry unit. So you gotta be careful if he loses it, if he gets him killed, it could change the course of the battle. Now, as you can tell, he had a Kiowa. That was a very expensive unit, got owned by the artillery, but my artillery is vetted. So, now here we go. This is what I'm talking about. See, now this is where he really gets screwed. He lost a lot. He lost 2 Delta squads, and actual APCs right here. Quite unfortunate for him. And my SpecNaz, I really didn't lose much of anything, to be honest. My tanks took out their vehicles, and my SpecNaz. That was something I did correctly right there. Over here is where I make some mistakes, and he gets partly lucky. I don't have my artillery set up properly. I don't have my Ural supporting my artillery. Normally you want to put a supply truck next to your artillery, and I didn't do that. I am using hedgerows, as in the other video I told you, use hedgerows, hide your units as much as possible. We were talking as we were battling too, you know, talking smack. We're guildmates from Star Wars, so you know, there's some friendly competition there. See, he has some pretty good artillery piece that's firing at us. It's not very accurate. He's kind of wasting ammunition at this point. But if he does have something on us, say he has a recon unit that's on us, he could definitely do a number on me. They're very, very dangerous. If he can pinpoint his accuracy on the artillery, it's very devastating. So I have the BV in here. I have a T-55 AMV-1. I think I called that in a reinforcement. So now I can see the Abrams. Now, you can't see it. I don't know if he told me that his Abrams were actually highly vetted. And as you can tell, he has incredible range. I was moving this recon vehicle up here, and I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't think that he would have anything that could see that far from here, because normally he builds up units in here. Makes sense. Pretty good hedgerows. But he took out my recon unit, so that hurt. So I'm throwing a little bit of artillery over there, kind of blind firing. I don't really know what's over here. Now this is the main point where he actually makes a good choice, and in fact he hits my units. Now he hits them directly. Again, he can't see them. I know I killed his Kiowa, and I know he goes very expensive. He doesn't really have any other recon units out here from what I can tell. But look at the number he does on these Tunguskas. He has 2 Abrams here, and I saw another Abrams over here. And I try to get him out of the battle, try to get him over here, but they're just too good. They're vetted, and they're just too good. So apparently I hit something over here with the artillery, but he just took out 4 of my Tunguskas. Those guys were vetted also. Very expensive. I thought when I lost them, I was like, oof, that was really going to be my main defense against these Abrams, believe it or not. I have these tanks over here. I was going to try and bait them into the tanks, but the Tunguskas really were going to panic them and keep them in place for me. Slow them, keep them incoherent. They wouldn't know what was going on. They'd be all disgruntled, and they wouldn't really know what's happening. And that's how I was going to keep them in place where I wanted them. Didn't work out that way. I lost all my AA. So now I'm kind of stuck between a hard place. Luckily, I have a lot of cheap units. Like the Monostrugglers, they're very cheap. They're like 25, 30. If you 30 for the best ones with the best vehicles. So, you know what? At this point, I need to kind of try and keep my units. I need to try and keep them here. I can't have them push over here. So I kind of got to bite the bullet. And as you can tell, I still didn't put my Ural over here, which that's another major mistake. So I really want to keep him here. If he moves these units up here, it's game over. I have nothing left. I can call in some reinforcements, And he has an Apache. He knows my AA is done, so he knows I'm screwed. The other match he had like 3 squads of Apaches, and they got demolished by my units. Because I had those Tunguskas that were vetted. Now, a lot of people even he questioned me on these guys actually. The 3, actually no, this wasn't the unit he was questioning me on. But these are infantry units right here. Try to put the spec nads in there, see what they can do. Not much, apparently. Now these are the units he was questioning me on. These are very good units. A lot of people don't use them too much, but for how cheap they are, I think they're only 40 to 60, something like that. And if you vet them, they're very, very competent killers of tanks. If you can just get the range and get the recon unit on them. Unfortunately, what happened in the beginning is I lost my recon units. His artillery really did a number on me. It got my BV out here. He should have never been out here. And then I just put him out in the open and he got demolished. I routed the Abrams, luckily, one of them. But that was a big tank. That was my main tank. So that really hurt. It even routed these guys and pushed them out. So he does a number on me here. There's not much I can do at this point. The Tunguskas are just too expensive. And anything less than that really won't do much. Especially to an Apache like this. And normally he vets his units. He picks single units and he vets them. So an Apache would take out even like one of the lower end units all day. AA units. One of the cheap guys, it would just demolish. So what I end up doing is I want to keep him here. I want to keep him occupied. So I try to like reinforce my units a little bit, push them back here, maybe make a line back here, keep my units here, but make something back here so to hold them off. And I'm starting to push here. I killed all their AA units right here. These are very, very good tanks, as I said. I ran out of gas in these units. You know, that was just bad planning on my part. They're spec NAS, as you could saw before when they killed the Delta Force. So the spec NAS themselves, and look, I took out this. See how awesome that unit was? It took out that Abrams that was just standing there, hurting. This unit is incredible. It took a lot of damage from these Apaches. And when I pull out the spec NAS actually gets onto Fedor. The whole point here is to shift his focus from this battlefront so I can build up units over here, as I'm doing. So I can build up units over here, and for me to try and get into his artillery. If I can shift his focus for just a little bit, I have a chance of winning this battle. Something that didn't seem very winnable. Even right now, as you look at the score, I'm only a couple hundred off, but if you judge by the momentum of the battle, I was hurting pretty bad in the beginning. Those Tunguskas, the guy could have really did some damage to me. As you can tell, my artillery killed another piece of his. And for whatever reason, I vetted these guys a little bit, but they're really surviving, which is quite unbelievable. This Apache's running out of ammo. Look at it, he's totally empty on 2 of them. And I'm sorry, that main gun is not going to do anything to these tanks. He might slightly injure special forces, but he's not doing anything to the tanks. So now he's got to go back and he's got to resupply, and he's damaged. Now is my perfect opportunity. These guys really haven't ran out of fuel yet. As you can tell, they still have 500 plus, which is very good for me. Now look at all these. I did not expect to see this. I think that's a command vehicle. That's what ends up happening to them. But all his units are here getting resupplied. It is perfect opportunity to end this game. If I can annihilate half of these units, like I am, excellent main battle tanks, and the spec NAS moving in, and I start throwing some artillery his way. I believe this artillery was back here. But if I can start blowing these units up, it could change everything. So now, the other side note is, I've tried to pull some units that were going to come down the road and go over here and try and flank. Is that I'm successfully changing where he's looking. I know he has an Abrams still over here. I might have killed one over here, but I know he still has one over here, if you recall from the previous battle. But he is all focused over here. I know for a fact he's going to try and get his artillery to focus here. I don't care. As long as I can start killing these units that are very expensive right here, start taking them out clean and clear, even taking his supply trucks, it's really worked out in my favor. So he really didn't expect this to happen, and I really didn't expect these units themselves. As you can tell, my artillery's firing on my own units, which is kind of silly. That was poor management right there. Yeah, look, I just killed my own units. Now that's a big mistake right there. But nonetheless, I pretty much wiped out Fedor. Now he can't resupply here. So where is he? He's back at Sheraton. Now, at this point, I know I have this. I have two T55 AMVs coming in, an AM1, another AMV, 3 AMVs, and an AMV here. And the prototype that I was talking about before. The reason why I built so many of these mid-range units is just so I have more flexibility. He has one tank. I can hit him from, as you can see, all these different sides. He's done. There's nothing he can do. I'm going to focus artillery, and he's pretty much done. Even before the artillery comes in, he's going to be taking a good amount of damage. As you can tell, it's just too many tanks. And for the same price, roughly the same price as it would take to buy 2 Abrams or 4 Abrams, I could build all these. It's really cost effective. And there you go. That's game over. So as you can tell, that was a sloppy game. It wasn't anything we expected. Normally I'm much more conservative than that. I try to be a little more aggressive, and it bit me a lot of times. I over pursued what I couldn't see. So essentially what you want to do is have a recon unit going first, or you want to at least get a view, even if you send a really cheap unit like the Motostreki, something 20 point unit. It's okay if you lose those units. The main point here is don't lose like 4 Abrams units. Don't lose 5 of them. Don't lose all your Delta Force squads. Those guys are worth a lot of points. So if you lose those guys, that could be 500 points right there. As you could tell, if you look at the score up here, he was actually doing better than me. If you recall, it was like 900 to 700. But that one flanking move, especially in 1v1, if you can get into his little base of operation, like I did, or anyone's base of operation, you can see that it's actually pretty easy to inflict a lot of points towards your cause. As you could tell, I was blowing down the Abrams from the flank. I actually pushed all the way up with that unit, and I demolished pretty much most of his helicopter arsenal. Now that hurts a lot. That cost him a lot of points. Also, my artillery didn't help that I demolished half of my spec mass right there. So that's mismanagement on my part. But as you can tell, it was a very close game. All it came down to is he lost more. He lost more points. He had more command points, but he lost more. I had adequate command points. I didn't have anything amazing, but I had adequate. I didn't have a +4. I had a +3 and a +2. But I knew if I had that at least +3, that I would be okay. If I could control that left side, I could win. And even through me losing in the beginning those major units, the Tunguskas and all them, which opened him up to sending in Apaches and just demolishing a lot of my army, I knew that I still had a chance. Now, say if I would have, the same thing would have happened, but I had specialized units where I only had 2 Abrams, 2 Apaches, a Delta Force, an artillery piece, and 1 recon vehicle. You know, after vet, that's pretty much what you can expect with the price. If I would have lost one of those instead of my type of strategy where I have multiple units, it would have hurt a lot more. And I certainly would have lost if I would have lost 4 Abrams or something along that nature. It would be game over in the beginning. You could pretty much guarantee that. So essentially that's what happened. It was a pretty dang good game, I'll admit that. I enjoyed playing with him. He's a very hard opponent. So I have other videos that I'd like to show you also, but for whatever reason they just won't run. I'm going to try and get them up tonight. There's some really good ones with teammates with 4v4 where me and another teammate actually did most of the work, but when you have a good teammate that complements you, that plays similar styles, you can take on 4 people all day. And it's really awesome. So I'd like to put that up, but this gives you a little bit of view on even the sloppiest of play. as long as you semi know what you're doing and you have that strategy of what you want to take, you can do it. So, and that was a good exhibition. I thought it showed exactly what my capabilities were, even through adversity. So, even though I wasn't at my top, I could still pull out a win. So, thank you for your time, and I'll have another video up for you in a short while.